So this is not the video that I intended to make this week. I know that a lot of you are waiting for another installment of the Carnival Ride Restoration series, and that is exactly what I was planning on delivering to you this week. But things have changed that made that somewhat impossible to do. And, you know, if you want to hear the story, stick around. Some of you may already be clicking the leave button, and if that's the case, I understand. But I do have something coming up that I hope will interest you. So last week, last Saturday, my daughter and son-in-law and grandkids were involved in a pretty serious auto accident, and it ended up taking them all to the hospital. My daughter ended up in surgical ICU for about 4 days, and I just brought her home to her family on Wednesday. So the whole family's now home and healing, but they've got some healing to do. The grandkids are fine, and of course you've seen my grandson Jackson in some of these videos, and you've also seen my son-in-law Scott. He's kind of my number one right-hand helper there. So they're all home and healing, but they're beat and battered pretty badly. And that causes, well, first of all, I obviously didn't get to do anything on the Carnival ride this past week because of that. But more so than that, the next thing that I really need to do is I need to free up this lathe because we still have the shaft from the Carnival ride in here, and I really rely on my son-in-law Scott to help me with those heavy lifting sorts of things, and he's going to be out of commission for a while. So that means the lathe is sitting tied up with this problem here. There's little things I could do, but it's, you know, I can't get it out of there by myself, and I don't really have anybody else around here to call on to help me with stuff like that. So that's kind of stuck for the time being. I do have little things I can work on. I mean, I'm stripping the paint on this electrical cabinet, but that's not very exciting and doesn't make for a good video. So this is about the extent of what I can show you there. Hey guys, I've stripped some paint. Now the other thing I have is I need to bore out the center of the main drive sprocket so that I can put a new bearing in it. And for things like that, I rely on some of the larger machines that exist at my day job, full-size Bridgeport and things like that. But there's been a change there as well. The company I've worked for the last 25 years, it looks like they're being sold, and my access to that equipment has been limited. So some of that larger equipment I don't have, the welders, the Bridgeport. So that's causing me a problem right now as well. So those are all issues to be addressed and taken care of. Of course, Scott's going to be getting better soon, and we'll be able to get on with that. I don't know what I'm going to do about the Bridgeport situation. I may need to rely more on asking some people for help with some of these projects. But things change, and that'll happen. So where does that leave the Carnival ride project? Well, I'm still going to work on it. You know, we're having beautiful weather today. It's I think spring is actually, you know, kind of coming, and so with that we'll be able to grab our new sandblaster and start attacking the tower with it and start making some progress there, get some real paint on it, and we'll be able to get moving on that. But for the time being, I'm kind of out of little projects that I can work on in the workshop, and so that makes it tough. But I do have kind of something up my sleeve here, and if you follow my Instagram account, you've probably seen it, or if you've been on my Patreon page, you've probably seen it. I do have another project, and it's been sitting in the backyard. It occasionally has shown up in a few videos, but I've never said anything about it. And what that project is a second Carnival ride. And I figure there's, in the beginning of the restoration of that ride, there's going to be little things that need to be done. And so I think what we can do maybe is work on the two rides simultaneously and shift back and forth between them as the time and equipment and help permits. So today I think what I'm going to do is give you an introduction to this second ride we've got, and tell you a little bit about it and what my plans are for it. So this is the new ride in all of her glory. It's another trailer mounted ride. It's another ride manufactured by King. This is what's known as a King combo, and you could buy this type of ride with different sorts of vehicles. We have the train and the fire truck and the tugboat and the sports car. But anyways, that's what this is. It's a King combo, and like before, this one has seen better days. Now, ironically, these two rides have been together through probably 4 different owners. They've traveled together, and because I can trace them back 3 owners, so including myself, that's 4. So for the last 3 purchases, these have all been owned simultaneously, which I think is kind of interesting. These have a metal flake finish on them. I think we're probably going to do something, a more realistic paint scheme, but there's quite a bit of work to be done here. Let me go around back on this. We haven't cleaned up for the spring yet, and these are those silver maples we have that are constantly just being a nuisance, shedding their branches. But these steering wheels are the same steering wheels that our rocket ride is supposed to have. So my plan here is to take one of these wheels and cast copies of it so we can make enough to put on the rocket the way it was intended. It's a center drive motor, another Sprocket. I think it's almost the same size. There was a lighting package in the center, which is in even worse shape than the rocket was. This will have to be, I don't know that any of that would be reused. So on this, the sweeps have wheels that carry the cars behind them. The cars actually have wheels. They just kind of come along for the ride. There's hooks on the front of every vehicle, and those tie into the sweeps. So as the sweeps go around the center hub there, it takes the cars along for the ride. Some of these are missing their bases entirely. You can see right down through the floor. So a lot of rotted plywood. And again, you know, this is not the time in our nation's history to be buying plywood. So that is the next project we're going to be tearing into. Like I say, we're going to do these 2 projects simultaneously so that we have more choices to work from, and that will hopefully allow me to continue pumping out content for you and keep it interesting, so we're not always working on the same thing. And I hope that I really hope that you want to see that. We're not going to really know what we're facing until we get this thing unloaded, and I have not ever unloaded this, so it's going to be a surprise for me as well as you, what we uncover when we unload all these parts. The cars themselves, they're fiberglass, they can all be fixed. And since we have 2 of everything, I know that, for instance, the sports car back there, that whole side is badly damaged. We have another sports car though, so we can make a splash mold off the good one and use it as a piece to fix the bad one. So that'll be an interesting project. A little bit of fiberglass work. And this one here, it does actually have new wheels and tires on. This one, the original wheels and tires were completely shot, so before it was moved here, those were put on. So, you know, that's probably the nicest thing on the whole ride is the is the wheels and tires. The wood itself, this is all, I believe, treated plywood, and it's, you know, it's not the nicest looking choice, right? It's you know, it's been painted yellow, and it doesn't really, it just doesn't look nice. I don't know what our choices are there. Some of these rides, they would have diamond plate on the floors. Originally this would have had wood, so we're just gonna have to make some decisions there. You can see the pattern where the cars would originally ride. And this is actually the insides of one of the vehicles. It's interesting on these, it never really dawned on me before, but the axles are set at a permanent angle because it's constantly going around in a circle. I have checked, and the little wheels, they are still available. It looks like some of these have been replaced over the years. See if I can get a closer look in here. This one actually does have the remnants of a slip ring in there in the very center. That is what would allow the electric to pass out and light up the lights. And these cars also had the ability to have lights in them. The tugboat, for instance, I know I've seen pictures of the tugboat where this boss here that's molded in, there's actually a light that'll fit there. And I can see evidence where there's a crack in the fiberglass, like maybe one of those fixtures was originally there, but it was removed during a particular refit in the past. And I've done a lot of work trying to track down those lights as to what they originally were. And I have found some of those lights. So I am planning on another casting project where we recreate those lights, because once again, they were cheap lights back in the day, and just like our hood ornaments, they're now very collectible and expensive. So that's another project we'll be tackling. As part of the restoration process on this one, I may put out some line drawings of these vehicles and put them out there on my website where folks can download them and maybe hand them off to your kids and have them color them in, and we can come up with some different color schemes. I'll probably be giving them to my own grandkids as well. There on the fire truck, you can see another one of those raised areas where one of those lights are supposed to go. So it's a fun project as long as we can stop running into roadblocks. And boy, if I had my own Bridgeport, that would really help. All I have in the shop is a little one of those RF30 mill drills. Mine's an old Enco one. I've had it for, wow, probably since 1995. So it just doesn't have the capacity to bore the center of that 24-inch chain sprocket, because that's what we have to do. We got a chain sprocket from the Rocket Ride that's similar to that one that you can see down in there, and we need to bore the center of it out to clean up the damage that the shaft ate into it, and then press a new bearing into it. But that sprocket is way too big to put in my lathe, and it's too big to put in the mill drill. It fits perfectly in a Bridgeport, but I don't have access to a Bridgeport anymore. So I hope you find this new project interesting. It was always the plan to actually work on this, but I was going to try to finish the one before starting the next. And with the way things are, I think it's going to be better to try to work on them both simultaneously, shifting back and forth. And I hope you understand that. And if you want to see what we've done, some of the other things we've done on this Carnival Ride project, click that link to the left and come along for the ride.